Being in a dangerous situation can be stressful.
But training from Atrium Health is helping people step in and save lives. Trauma System Coordinator at Atrium Health, Scott Wilson, is joining us this morning. Scott, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Good morning, no problem.
I think the more people that know any kind of first aid, whether it be CPR or anything like that, is helpful. But when you're trying to stop severe bleeding, I mean, that really comes down to minutes and saving lives.
Yes, absolutely. So we're on a mission to stop all preventable deaths from trauma. And on average, it takes a person 3 to 5 minutes to bleed to death in an injury. And nationwide, it takes about 8 to 10 minutes for help to get there from first responders. And it varies from place to place, depending on where you live. But that's too long. And so immediate action by bystanders, by you, can help save a life.
And you're a paramedic. You have been for more than 2 decades now. In your experience, how critical is it for people to step in before you get there?
Absolutely. So just simple things that a bystander or a family or a friend can do can truly make an impact and help influence a person's life.
I think a lot of people think you have to be a doctor to be able to step in. People go, I can call 911, that's all I know how to do. But you've got some simple things that we can learn even today on how to stop the bleeding, whether it be a gunshot wound, stabbing, or
which unfortunately we are in situations where we need to know these things.
Yes, and that's a very big thing to think about, but it's also just regular things around the house. If you accidentally dropped a knife or dropped a piece of glass or something and then cut yourself.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
So someone's bleeding, what do we do?
So there's 3 easy steps. First one is alert 911 or whatever your emergency response system is. So you got to get help on the way because the person needs to get to the hospital, preferably a trauma center. And then next is B for bleeding. Find the bleeding itself. You got to determine if it actually is a life-threatening hemorrhage. And then C, compress, whether it be using direct pressure onto a wound or applying a tourniquet or even using wound packing, which we'll talk about in a second.
All right, there are some of the steps that we see right there on the screen. You brought some props with you today. Kind of give us an example, and if you need our help, you ask us and kind of show us how this works.
Sure. So we have a replica of a wound here. And so if you have somebody who has an injury, first step is going to be, again, alert 911, and then B, find the bleeding. And then the third step is compress, apply pressure. And preferably you have a first aid kit, but if you don't, it's okay. It doesn't matter. You can use whatever you have.
Like say you had a shirt in the car or something like that.
This shirt can save a life.
There you go.
And so all you have to do is apply pressure. And it's firm, direct pressure until the bleeding stops or help arrives.
Sometimes, I mean, it can be, I was reading an article about one patient that you all had, and the bleeding was just shooting across the room. Not to be graphic, but it can happen so fast.
Absolutely. And it's one of the signs you're looking for is gushing blood or bleeding that won't stop. And so do whatever you can. I went to the Carrie Underwood concert last night, so we got our bandana. Doesn't matter what you have. You can use whatever you have to apply pressure to the wound itself.
Okay, you hear sometimes people using tourniquets or homemade tourniquets. What do you recommend when it comes to that?
So we don't recommend improvised tourniquets because it's difficult to see if you're going to apply it correctly. They don't apply consistent pressure, but hopefully you have an actual commercial tourniquet, and this is called a CAT tourniquet, C-A-T, for Combat Application Tourniquet, because everything we do we've learned from the military, and they've proven that these things work. And so the military has found that 1 out of every 5 preventable death could have been saved if they had a tourniquet available to them.
Just something so simple
as this. And so with this, you just open it up, and if you like to do it, wrap it around the leg. You want to go above the wound, so the wound's right here. So we'll go above the wound,
and then
pull the Velcro tight, as snug as possible, and start wrapping it around.
All right.
And then there's this called a windlass. We're going to twist it just like a helicopter blade turns, and twist, twist, twist.
I can feel the pressure. It's getting a lot tighter.
And people ask, how many times do I twist?
As much as you can.
As much as you can until the bleeding stops.
Oh, my God.
I can't get it much further than that.
And listen, Ann Wyatt knows how to apply pressure, so if she knows when to stop. Now, we're doing this, and we're in a calm situation here, but I have a feeling when someone's doing this, they're frantic, and you kind of forget what it is you're supposed to do.
Yes, so it's very basic steps, as if you just remember those basic steps. So twist, twist, twist until the bleeding stops, and then, I don't know if you saw me, but I put the little windlass into this little hook right here.
Okay.
And the last little step is to put that little safety on there.
And that prevents blood from rushing to the wound.
So it completely cuts off the blood flow to the extremity and to the wound. itself. And so whether it's your arms or your legs, we can use a tourniquet on them.
So this Stop the Bleed program, is this for individuals? Can you get to, business groups, church groups? Can they be a part of this?
Yes, it can be anybody, everybody, whether it be a church, a scout group, a gym, it doesn't matter, a library, HOA group. Anybody can do this, and we're happy to try to help you set up a class.
And before we let you go, is it your hope to get these kits into all businesses that have a first aid kit to begin with?
Absolutely. This is something that can be easily done, and so you should have it. If you didn't have it and you need it, it's too late. And so it's an easy way to help save a life, and it's regularly available anywhere out there. You can just search for Stop the Bleed or go to the Stop the Bleed website, stopthebleed.org.
All
right, Scott Wilson with Atrium Health. Thank you for sharing this.
And teaching us.
Yeah, really. You can try this on me during commercial break and see if it works.
I'll apply the pressure.
Yeah, you certainly will. All right, thank you for your time. Appreciate
Thank you,
it, Scott.
Scott. We appreciate
All right, it
it.
is 9:19.